on, everyone? James Star Numbers here, and welcome back to another episode of the Political Freedom Fighters Podcast. Now, in this episode, I am going to be introducing you all to a very special guest. Last week, I actually interviewed an unaffiliated who is running for the House District 11 as an unaffiliated, John Rogers, and this week, I just so happen to be interviewing the Libertarian nominee who is actually running in this same district. So, with that being said, I would love to introduce to all of you Travis Groo. How are you, sir?
I am doing super well, and I appreciate you having me on, sir. Thank you.
You are absolutely welcome. So the first thing I gotta go over is, who are you and what do you do?
Great question. Well, my name is Travis Groo. I live in Greensboro, North Carolina. I work in the safety department at a large transportation company. I lived in Wake County for about 13 years, and that's where I first became politically active, became the chair of the Libertarian Party of Wake County. I was a two-term chair, one-term vice chair. I served on the LPNC executive committee as well. I helped with the Joe Jorgensen campaign. I've run for office. This is my fourth time to run for office. The other three were more local and general assembly. This is my first attempt at a federal seat, so this is a big deal. And yeah, I'm just here to try to offer another voice, a different voice, maybe one that the western part of North Carolina hasn't heard yet. And here I am. So my name is Travis Groo, running in U.S. House 11, which is the far western part of the state. It's a very large area. Starts just east of Asheville and pretty much covers all of the western side, so the mountain side of things. So that's me in a nutshell.
Awesome. The next question I gotta ask you is, let's talk about your history. So what is your history?
Well, told you a little bit about it, but I was born in Texas, so I am a Texan, a hard-headed Texan, and lived there for 15 years. And then I relocated to Florida. So I was in Florida. That's where I finished out high school, and then ended up going to the University of West Florida in Pensacola and studied communication arts there at the school. And I became pretty involved with the music industry as well. I was always promoting bands and going to shows and bringing in music and stuff like that. That's always kind of been something that I love to do. And so all through college, and then even after college, I was a promoter, and then I started a record label. So after Florida, I graduated. I moved to Atlanta. So I lived in Atlanta, and that's when the music industry kind of took off. I started a little independent record label with a buddy of mine, and we had so much fun. We probably got 40 to 50 releases under our belt. Just a little indie label. It was a lot of fun. So we would showcase bands. I went out to South by Southwest. That's where we actually launched our label. And so music is a big part of my life. It always has been. And then once Apple Music launched, we knew record sales were going to go south. So we kind of disbanded, started a skateboard company and kind of a clothing company based out of Atlanta. And wasn't really politically active. Didn't really know where I stood politically. I just knew I was kind of irritated with the back and forth fighting, and then ended up moving to Raleigh, and that's where I jumped in politically. It was during the Trump and Hillary Clinton debates that I was just shaking my head, going, man, there's got to be a better option than this. This is embarrassing. Worldwide, they were bickering and fighting like middle school kids. And I was just like, wow, like we've really come a long way in the wrong direction. So that's what kind of where I discovered the Libertarian Party as another option. And the more I looked at the platform and the more I studied um, the principles, the more I just realized I aligned with them. And so that's where I made the switch. I was a registered Republican, but I was more like a Ron Paul Republican, and I guess you could say Massey Republican, kind of liberty leaning. But I didn't even know about the Libertarian Party until about 2015. I didn't know it existed. I didn't really pay too much attention. So that's where I made the switch, and I haven't looked back. So here I am today running for a federal seat. So it's kind of crazy how things progress. And I would have never thought in a million years, maybe 15 years ago, that I'd be running for office on a federal level. So pretty funny.
That's awesome. You mentioned that you started a record label, which is pretty awesome. What was the process on that?
Yeah, it was fun. What's that?
What was the process on that?
Yeah, the process was just a love for music, and then ended up able to land some pretty good distribution through a friend of mine. I was managing bands too, and the managing of bands kind of turned into a record label. And it's just a matter of finding the artists and, putting them out there on the streaming platforms and at the time it was iTunes where you could purchase singles and purchase music, but the streaming platform took over. So process is fun. You just build a name for yourself, just like anything else. It's a lot of marketing, a lot of hype, a lot of marketing, and hopefully you find an artist that takes off and does well and sells merch and sells albums and um, becomes successful and tours. Touring bands is really the way to sustain an artist. They've got to be touring in order to make it, and they have to be selling merch. Otherwise, music streaming alone, the pennies on the dollar that they pay the artists is almost an insult. But I get it; they have to make money as well. So it's a fun industry. It's just time consuming, and so unless you've got a lot of time on your hands, it's not really worth jumping into because it does take a lot of time. So
That is understandable. The next thing I gotta go over is, why are you running for U.S. House District 11, and why a libertarian?
why a libertarian? I can answer that because I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. Um, the Republicans say they're fiscally conservative, and they're not. They spend just as much money, just in different places. And I'm not a Democrat because it seems like almost the Democrat Party has moved towards maybe a socialism light type of movement, and definitely not a socialist. And I'm a libertarian. I'm running as a libertarian because I believe in individual freedoms and individual rights. And I'm one of the types of candidates that's not going to compromise and not going to be sold out, not going to be bought. I'm not going to compromise on my principles of self-governance and freedom, freedom to choose. Um, I may not like your choice, but government has no right to limit your choices. So I'm running as a libertarian to basically give the voters an option, a different choice of someone to vote for that is actually going to let them live their lives their way, spend their money their way, and not be stolen from and lied to and coerced just for votes. So That is why, and I'm running to help people. Honestly, there's no other way to put it, just to help people realize their own potential and realize that the power lies within them and the government has no power over them, that they actually answer to the people. And if it actually was like that, we wouldn't be in the position that we were in with almost $39 trillion in debt, thanks to the Republicans and thanks to the Democrats. You can't blame libertarians for that because we've only had one libertarian in Congress, and it was a switchover. It was Justin Amash. So the Republicans and Democrats have absolutely done a terrible job in the past 3 to 4 decades, if not longer. And I have no apologies for saying that. So that's why I'm running.
That is awesome. The next question I got to go over is, what is your view on the Republican Party?
The Republican Party is, some people say that the Libertarian Party actually started back in 1971 because of the failures of the Republican Party, saying, like I just was saying, they're fiscally conservative, but really they just spend just as much money on different items. It's just not maybe not socialistic welfare programs, but they'll blow it on building up the military industrial complex, or building up the military in another country where we don't belong, spending it on war and nation building in another country, stuff like this, which we don't belong over there. And, our Constitution states that we are to defend and protect our borders, not all these other countries' borders. And, I would run on bringing our troops home, every single last one of them, to the United States to be with their family and to defend and protect our borders. And I know that, there's terrible things going around all over the world. It's going on all over the world. And the United States is not the world police. And we've become the world police. And, it's not really what we're supposed to be doing. So we're blowing billions upon billions of dollars in other countries, building their infrastructure up when we're neglecting ours. So yeah, the Republican Party to me is, to me, they limit choice. They don't like options. They don't like choices. They don't like individual liberties and freedoms as much as I would say the Democrats do better with that than the Republicans. They sort of want to micromanage your life and how you express yourself or how you want to identify as. Really, as long as they're not hurting you or taking your stuff or committing fraud or theft or coercion, or it's not affecting you personally, you have to leave people alone, and they don't know how to do that. So to me, the social aspect of the of the Republican Party is what sort of turned me off. Just sort of overly judgmental. And like I said, as long as it doesn't directly affect you, you have to leave people alone. You may not agree with what they say and do, but you have to give them the right to say and do it. I might not like what you say, but you're free to say it. Free speech, free expression, free choice. And so I believe the Republican Party limits choices because they want to control things, uh, and manage things their way. It doesn't work like that. People are too diverse and too multi, almost. There's too many different personalities to be able to control everybody. You can't do it. It's what communist China does. No one wants to live under that kind of regime. So I want to let people be themselves, who they are, express themselves, have their individual liberties and freedoms protected all the time, whether you agree or not, so long as they don't hurt people and take their stuff or throw the first punch or commit fraud or force or theft. Otherwise, leave people alone. If there's no victim, there's no crime. But as soon as there's a victim, then that's different. When there's a victim, there's a crime. But if there's no victim, hands off.
Fair enough. What's your opinion on the Republican incumbent, Chuck Edwards?
Honestly, he seems like a nice guy. I don't have any pros or cons to say about him. He was elected in I would say Western North Carolina is pretty red, other than Asheville and the surrounding areas. I don't really know too much about the guy, and I don't know him personally to say too much. I do not like the way they handled the Helene storm. That was a really messed up deal. The people really got ripped off over there. And, I blame the federal government for that. FEMA completely botched the whole thing up and limited rescue missions and limited food supplies going in from the community. They wanted to fully control it. And if I would have been over there, I would have been making so much noise trying to kick them out of here, kick them out of there. They didn't help at all. There were people that had private helicopters that were trying to rescue people, and they halted that mission as well. And they knew the mountains better than FEMA, who came in, and they're not from here. They don't know the people. So FEMA and OSHA and the feds just completely botched it up. So I don't know how involved he was. Like I said, I don't have much pros or cons to say about the guy. I don't know him personally, so I try not to comment on folks I don't know, because it's just, to me, it's another playbook for politics, and I don't really play that way.
That
So
Yeah, that's understandable. And I remember during one of my previous interviews, we talked a little bit about her Helene, and we talked a little bit about how like FEMA has some crazy somebody actually told me during one of my interviews. They said that in order to qualify for FEMA aid, you had to like support Israel or something, and I was shocked. I couldn't even believe it. And other than that,
I don't know. I don't know if that was the case or not. I just know that when they start trying to practice martial law, and then they start experimenting with your own property and not letting you go home, there's a problem. You know, it's not for your safety, it's for their control. And their excuse was, oh, we're protecting the public. No, I'm going home to see if my house is still there, and they did the same thing with Katrina. So it's experiments for them to see, what they'll do with the next natural disaster. So I don't like their handling of it at all. So
yeah, and the state government actually threw in some money as well during Hurricane Helene. And I'm pretty sure Western North Carolina is still, I think there have been some reports saying that people are still trying to recover from Helene, as far as I'm aware. So where did that money go, right?
yeah, last I heard, everybody got $750. So I mean, to me, it's an insult. You lose everything and get $750. Not that, it's really even tax money that should be due, that should, it should even exist for this, but since it does, it's a bit of an insult, especially when they were halting food supplies getting sent up through the mountains, and they were trying to control who gets what food and how much and all this stuff. And it's like the community should be in charge of that, not the feds. Community, there was hillbillies up there that were not wanting FEMA on their property at all. Just get out of here. We don't want you here. So you start messing around with hillbillies, it's a whole different story. They're real big on property rights, and I have mad respect for that. I'm a Texan. I know what property rights mean, and I know what individual rights mean. And so they have a right to tell you you can't come on their property. So, yeah, the Helene thing was a mess to me.
Absolutely. Next up, what's your opinion on the Democrats?
Democrats, I'm not one to bash people, even in forums, but I believe Democrats believe that they're doing the right thing by making government bigger so that government will help people. But we all know, well, we don't all know. I know communities help communities better than government helps communities. And so when you take the restrictions off of being able to feed the homeless freely and give them food and drink and meds without the FDA being involved and restricting, who can help people, who can house people, who can have a Airbnb, who can build on their own property as they see fit to do whatever they want with their own property. I believe that the Democrats mean well. They want the welfare system to work. They want to cure homelessness. They want to feed people. But I believe that, when you make it easier for businesses to thrive instead of all the taxation and regulation and impediments on their own business, and you cut all that red tape out, they thrive. And when businesses have more money, they'll have more money to help people. Just like if you had more money in your pocket because it wasn't stolen from every single time you get paid, you'd have a little bit extra money to help your neighbors. So I just believe in neighbors helping neighbors. And they say it in theory, but in practicality, they just want more red tape and they want more government control. Most of them want to take your guns because they think guns are the problem, when it's really mental health or culture. It has nothing to do with a knife or a gun. So, that's one thing. I'm big on the Second Amendment. Don't touch people's guns. No one. All gun rights are an infringement. Every single last one of them. And my beliefs is that an armed minority is a more powerful and more protected minority. And the smallest minority in the entire world is the individual. Goes back to individual rights. If you can't support the smallest minority, don't call yourself pro-minority, because it all boils down to your individual. Smallest minority in the world is yourself. So I think they're full of crap, just like I feel like Republicans are full of crap. So it's the same. I look at them exactly the same. So I was on another podcast a couple weeks ago, and I I basically said I have zero interest in arguing with Republicans and Democrats. I used to kind of be a little bit confrontational and try to argue with them. I got nothing. I have no energy for them. I'm going to present principles, common sense, pro individual rights, pro freedom. If they don't like it, that's on them. So,
Alrighty. The Democrats seem to have quite a bit of a crowded field, but this is looking like to be a red. Since this is a red district, they are probably going to lose. So, why can't the Democrats win?
well, they're winning in a lot of parts of the states. I really think there's a blue wave that hit this past election cycle. A lot of the small municipalities got turned over from red to blue, believe it or not, and it's cyclical. It's a cycle. I mean, we have a president who is a narcissist, you know, um, and so people are starting to like second guess themselves and even possibly have buyer's remorse. I mean, there's a blue wave that happened in this last cycle. They are winning, and I found that the Democrats that won, the ones that I know, are pretty moderate. They're not they're not far left. They're pretty moderate, and I think people are realizing that the far left and far right fringe ideas are polarizing, and they're turning people off. So I feel like moderate the moderate voices are who are winning right now because it's not extremism. And they're not really here to argue either. They're just here to help people, and I get that. There's many different ways to believe the best way to help people, and they were able to convince people that their way is the best way. So they are winning. I mean, I don't know what will happen. I do not know. They have just as good of a shot as winning as the Republicans, in my opinion. So um, I think it is a blue wave. It doesn't matter to me. I think it's all the uniparty anyway. I think they work very well together behind closed doors to keep third parties out and to keep options so they can stay in power, keep the options away. So it doesn't matter to me, but I wouldn't be surprised if a Democrat would win out there. Wouldn't surprise me at all. So,
Alrighty. Let's go over your platform. What is your platform?
well, basically, I'm focused on about three things. We live in a certificate of need state, which is a situation where private practice will have to apply for a certificate of need in order to buy a certain medical device to offer medical procedures like an MRI machine or something like that. But they're not allowed to because the big hospital networks have the machine, so they deny it. So going back to Democrats, they talk about affordable health care and all this kind of stuff. If you really want affordable health care, you have to create more options and more competition. And getting rid of the con laws is the first step to creating competition so that people can compete on price levels and offer a procedure or a medical uh, technology breakthrough at a third of the price of what the hospital networks are charging. Because that's what's happening. they have a monopoly on these services because they have the machines and no one else is allowed to do it. So they can charge what they want. And there's a lot of medical malpractice with that, with billing. The billing is not transparent. So billing transparency is important, along with getting rid of the con laws. And, I would just like to see our income tax go down to zero in our state, and push for a zero income tax, kind of like what Texas does, and I believe Florida does, and Tennessee, several other states. Keep more money that you make, and then also just get rid of some of these ridiculous war on drugs that we have that is incarcerating a lot of people for victimless crimes. Like I said, you may not agree with somebody's lifestyle or what they choose to put in their body, but it's prohibition all over again and never worked, never will. And getting rid of that would be huge. And actually focusing on violent criminals and actually focusing on real crimes where there's actually a victim. So those are some things right there that we can do immediately to make a freer, more prosperous state in North Carolina.
That is actually pretty good. So you mentioned bringing our troops home and defending our border. Let's talk a little more about that.
Okay. Well, we're over there bombing ships and bombing boats and going in other countries, and we have military bases set up all over the world. For what? To keep them safe? To keep our interests way over there? Who knows how many, I don't know how many billions of dollars we spend monthly to keep the war machine going and to keep the military industrial complex going. But they have big, giant military contracts and government contracts. And so, constitutionally, we can defend and protect our border, but our borders aren't all over the world. It's, last I checked, it was the United States of America. So, it's very important that we bring our troops home and stop picking fights with other countries. And it's unfortunate that some countries can't get along with their neighbors. But when did that become a United States of America problem? If they can't manage their own country, then that's not really United States of America, last time I checked. So that's why it's important to defend and protect our borders only. So that's my stance on it.
Alrighty. Next up, you mentioned zero income tax. Let's talk about that.
Well, you should earn you should keep what you earn without being gouged and stolen from. They didn't work those out. Government didn't work those hours. They didn't put the blood, sweat, and tears into your work. They have no right to reach into your pocket and grab your money to spend it on what they feel is important rather than what you feel is important. And you would boost the economy in a much better way if people could have more money in their pocket to spend on local businesses here rather than crony capitalism happening and them spending the money on what government says is important and thinks is important. So you deserve, we deserve to keep the the fruits of our labor. It's the fruits of our labor. If you choose to donate to a program or a organization that you feel is truly helping the community, that's your choice, rather than being stolen from and forced to support a system that may or may not be working, and you have no choice about it. It's actually unconstitutional. It's taxation without representation. And the Tea Party threw a bunch of tea bags over it for way less tyranny and way less intrusion than income taxes and tariffs. And so, yes, we should keep the fruits of our labor, 100%.
All right. Next, you've mentioned certificate of need loss. Tell me more about that.
Well, it's perfect definition, con laws. It's run by con artists, controlled by con artists, controlled by the big hospital networks and big pharma. They love it because they want to keep control over their system, their entire hospital network. They want to keep control over who can offer certain services at what price. It's price gouging and it's price controls in the medical field. And so it's one of the biggest corrupted situations going on in the medical industry is con laws, is a law that tells you you can't perform certain services, even though you might have the money to buy the machine and the know-how and 20 years of experience, but you're not allowed to because of a certificate of need that you have to apply for, and they're going to deny it. You can't tell me you're for healthcare. You can't tell me you're pro healthcare if you have certificate of need laws. You can't tell me you're for lowering the cost of healthcare because it's a big, huge lie. And so I'll put it in front of anybody. You get rid of certificate of need laws, then I'll believe you're for medical freedom and lowering the cost of healthcare. Because right now the price is propped up through insurance companies, big pharma, hospital networks. They control it and own it. It's a big circle. It's a big convoluted circle, and it needs to be busted up, broken up, and there needs to be more medical freedom in North Carolina. So,
Fair enough. And since we are on the topic of medical freedom, are you in favor of like free market healthcare?
yes, absolutely. I'm not for forcing you to have to get health insurance. And like I said, if the cost of healthcare was way less, you wouldn't need insurance necessarily unless you choose to. That should be a choice. Same deal with car insurance industry. It's so convoluted and backwards and mandatory. And there's a better way. Free market healthcare would allow you to pick and choose who you want if you choose to even go that route or pay out of pocket. But you shouldn't get punished for not having it. And healthcare really shouldn't cost what it does. But what happens is, honestly, is the doctors get out of school $250,000 in debt, student loans, and if they don't make a certain salary, they're not going to pay that loan back. So they might make well over six figures, but they got a 30-year loan they're paying off. And so it goes back to even as far as how expensive college is, medical school. And I support learning and getting a medical degree. I mean, you don't want just anybody operating on your heart or your brain or your body, but my goodness, I mean, to start out your career $200,000 in the hole, it's not a really good start. It's bad. So you're going to support the high demand and high salaries and limited access so that you can keep your job and pay your bills off. So it's a vicious cycle. It really is. I don't have all the answers, but I know something's got to be researched, something's got to be changed because it ain't working. It's too expensive and it's too limited. There's not enough choices. We need more choices. And there's people that want to offer more choices, but they're not allowed to because of certificate of need laws. So.
Fair enough. Next up, you mentioned that you want to get rid of the war on drugs.
What, the 1992 bill maybe or something like that, where they decided they were going to crack down on drug use and they were going to put a stop to it. Well, every year we spend more and more and more money on the war on drugs, but the line of people doing drugs stays exactly the same as our cost of fighting it is going up, and it's not successful. It's not a successful program, and we're incarcerating people for victimless crimes of smoking a plant or something like that, and they haven't hurt anybody, they haven't stolen from anybody, they have no criminal record at all, they've never punched anybody. It's just simply a substance, which is prohibition all over again. We all know how that went. We all know how that doesn't work. We all know how that ended up changing. And so it's a matter of changing that as well. Like I said, you may not like somebody's life choices. You may not like something, but until they actually produce a victim, then why is it any of your business? Why is it anybody else's business what they do in the privacy of your own home? Did they steal something from you? Did they hurt you? Did they coerce you? Did they con you into something? Did they lie to you? If the answer is no, then they're not doing anything wrong. There's no victim. So I don't do drugs. I don't do drugs at all. I don't condone doing drugs at all. But that doesn't mean we need to throw everybody in jail for voluntarily selling a substance to a willing buyer voluntarily, peacefully. It's a peaceful transaction. And when you get rid of that, you also, when you get rid of the war on drugs, you immediately abolish the drug cartels. You put them out of business immediately, so they have no job anymore because you can buy the substance at a store and it's cleaner, it's more safer, it's capitalism at its finest. You're not going to have fentanyl flying around, sneaking in because it's coming over from who knows where. So it's, you can test it, and it's just Big Pharma hates it because they're the ones that want to be the drug dealers. Big Pharma is the actual drug dealers. They want to be in control, and that's mostly why it's illegal. So, or regulated. I don't even want to regulate it. It should be decriminalized, off the table. Alcohol is probably worse for you than all of it. It's decriminalized. And well, we have the ABC here in North Carolina, which is a complete joke and a convoluted mess. But not every state has the ABC, and it's just unregulated or decriminalized. They still regulate it. So, but I don't even think you should be able to regulate a plant. How many tomatoes you can grow? Who's checking up on that? The FDA has no business telling you how many tomato plants you can buy and sell in your garden. But believe me, if you start selling watermelons and you start making a bunch of money selling watermelons and tomatoes and cucumbers and peppers, and you don't have a license, they're going to shut you down. Because you never know, that cucumber may be unsafe. That tomato may be rotten. But shouldn't you let the buyer decide that? So that's my thoughts on it.
All right. You mentioned our foreign policy as well. Let's talk about what's been going on with our foreign policy.
Our foreign policy is we're too nosy and we're too involved with other people's business and other people's affairs. And meanwhile, our streets are falling apart. They need paved, they need potholes fixed, we need infrastructure fixed. Bridges in New York are falling apart, rocks are falling off of bridges. Roads need to be built, parks need to be taken care of. Foreign policy, I'm a non-interventionalist. Unless you throw the first punch, you do whatever you want to in your country. It's not our country. My foreign policy is about this big. It's so small. Hey, how you doing? Shake hands. How's your country going? Cool. See you later. Have a nice day. That should be our foreign policy. Not, can you give me some money? We're fighting this other war, Ukraine's begging for money, and then you got, Russia begging for help, and then you've got Israel begging for help, Germany begging for help, Taiwan begging for help. It's like, how about worry about your own affairs in your own backyard? There's your foreign policy for you. Focus on your own backyard, make it stronger. It's the best foreign policy you can do. Make your family big, make your family strong, make your backyard strong, fortify your property. It's the best foreign policy.
All right. You mentioned infrastructure. How do we fix our infrastructure?
Well, if we save the billions of dollars we're spending on other countries, we'd have a ton of money to really upgrade our roads and our bridges and our infrastructure and our buildings and our potholes and transit system. We don't have the money right now, so they're going to have to raise taxes in order to do so, and I don't support it. So if you really want to fix the infrastructure, you got to cut out the waste and the fraud and the lies and the deceit that's going along with all of our tax money, and actually do the work. Or cut out taxes altogether and let the communities fix the roads. They would probably do it a third cheaper and a third faster. And we can keep our own money. That's my number one solution. So
That's awesome. Yeah, and I guess I'm going to go back to foreign policy for just a bit. I was very, very disappointed that there was no Rage Against the War Machine rally last year, and so really this year I want to do in my podcast later down the line. I want to do like an anti-war episode where I can bring like some anti-war people from that are mainly from third party and independent. I probably won't be able to get Democrats or Republicans, but I want to bring like third-party independent speakers across the spectrum all together who are anti-war to like come out and speak against the entire war machine, from Ukraine to Israel to Taiwan to Venezuela to Greenland, present and past. And I really think that we should do a 2026 like episode together so that we can all like speak out against the war machine and say, no, we're not going to spend more money at the problem. We're not just going to throw more money just so that way we can destroy lives and have it all get wasted and grow this damn national debt. And no, we can't stand for it anymore. Our interventionist policy is making things worse, and our state is being even more at risk of being a nuclear bomb site. So that concerns me.
Count me in. I'll be on it. Definitely. I'm anti-war to the core. So count me in. I'll be on that podcast. That'd be fun. And I don't know how good that Rage Against the War Machine rally really went. I had some friends that went. I don't know if it was super successful. Great idea, great name. I love it. And I want them to keep it going, but I don't know. I think that was like the current chair at the time was working on that. And I don't know if it was super successful or not. But I love your idea about the podcast, getting people together. Count me in. I'll be on that if you want me to.
All right, yeah, sure. I'll make sure to talk to that with some leftists, and I'll also probably talk to Rob Yates about this to see if he likes it as well. Because I do remember reading an article that he wrote about once about him being at the original 2023 Rage Against the War Machine, so that's fun. They did a Rage Against the War Machine back in like 2024, but that was not as successful. So because like I believe it got like heavily delayed to like September, and by then people have just forgot about it by now.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to be at the one a couple years ago. Like I said, I had some friends go, but I wasn't able to make it. But what a great name, Rage Against the War Machine. I love it. But yeah, it is a war machine. I mentioned that with just the military industrial complex and all of the contracts they have to keep renewing, and they have to make bombs just to make their quotas. So it's really, really messed up. So can't let Lockheed Martin and those companies go under, right? They got to keep on making those fighter jets, But yeah, it is a war machine. It's the complex. It is the military war complex. So yeah, I'm a peaceful person. You should talk to the Green Party too. The Green Party's pretty anti-war.
Yeah, I do have communications with the Green Party as well, and I would love to talk to them about this as well.
Yeah.
Anyways, is there anything else that's on your platform that you want to talk about?
Not so much. I just want people to thrive and live their best life, and keep what they earn, and not have to worry about taxes that are being stolen out of their paychecks every single time they get paid. There's a better way to fund things, and stealing is not one of them. We say a lot taxation is theft in our party, and it's because it is. You never gave anybody permission to take that. And it's socialism in our country started back in 1913 with the formation of the Federal Reserve and the IRS. That's when it actually started, the tax brackets and all that. And that's why I'm really like Ron Paul. He wants to abolish the feds, abolish Federal Reserve, get back to sound money, gold-backed money. Because if we don't, it's just a false promise. It's $100 handshake. It's not backed by anything. It's just a piece of paper. And there's other countries that are even going to the gold standard when we got away from it. And we've really suffered because of it. So, but yeah, my thing is just, if anything, my vote's probably a protest vote against the uniparty, which is going to do the exact same thing year after year after year. Expect no difference. Expect no difference from bringing in a Republican or a Democrat. There's going to be absolutely no difference. So, if anything, I'm here to listen, to give you back the power where it's always belonged, because you are the power. And there is no one that can take that away from you.
Fair enough. Now, earlier you mentioned about gun rights, so let's talk about that.
It's an inherent right to keep and bear arms, period. And all gun rights are an infringement, every single last one of them. It's pretty simple. Guns don't kill people. Murderers kill people. And they just happen to use a tool to do it. And it can be anything. Some of the states and cities with the strictest gun laws have the highest gun violence crimes. So it just goes back to prove a point that laws don't prevent crimes from happening. I'll say that again. Laws don't prevent crimes from happening. If you trample on someone's rights or you throw the first punch, you committed a crime. You violated someone's space, you violated someone's rights. I believe in the non-aggression principle, which is basically the non-initiation of force. So I don't believe that you should initiate force against another person, because if you're the initiator, you're the aggressor, and that other person has the right for self-defense. So I'm also a big supporter of self-defense, and that should be left up to the individual to decide if they were truly threatened. And if everyone would abide by the non-aggression principle, would live in a pretty good world. No one would be initiating force against another person. So that's what gun rights are. It's a gun grabbing. Gun laws are gun grabbers. They're just there to grab your guns for control purposes, because we all know an armed society is a safer society, and an armed society is a dangerous society to government, a tyrannic government. And so, I fully support the freedom to carry anywhere at any time, any person. No restrictions, period. Because a restriction is a violation of the Second Amendment. And I don't have any apologies for that. I've got guns. I've never killed anybody. No, never wanted to. I know just about every one of my friends have guns. They're not the ones out here doing stupid crap. Why don't we go after the stupid people? Let's go after the stupid people. Do you agree? Let's go after the stupid people. So I want to go after the stupid people. And the stupider ones are the ones that are advocating for gun laws. They're the stupider ones. So I'm not going to apologize for that. So
Fair enough. I guess let's talk about the gold standard now.
You know, I'm not Ron Paul, man, but back in the day, our dollar was based on the value of the dollar, or the value of the gold per ounce, and you could measure it. It was measurable based on the current value, and we got away from that. So now it's based on whatever the Federal Reserve decides that they, what it's worth. It's devalued. It's devalued the how far it's devalued how far the dollar will go by like 97%. What a dollar would have bought 50 years ago, 60 years ago, good luck. It's not going to buy it anymore. So it's not based on gold is measurable. It's something you can measure like silver or copper or platinum or something like that. It's a very solid way to measure something, and we got away from it. And there's a lot of specifics. I'm not an expert on this, but I do know gold holds its value, and it always has. And so if gold holds its value and you measure it on gold, then it's sustainable. It's something you can lean on and back it up with. That's it in a nutshell. I'm not going to make myself look stupider than I am on that topic, but we need to get back to the gold standard.
All right, fair enough. So, how's the campaign doing right now?
Right now I don't have to primary, so I'm not doing a whole lot, to be honest. I do not have to primary. The Democrats and the Republicans are primarying right now, and in March we'll decide. The elections will decide who is the actual candidate. So right now, I'm just chilling. I'm hanging out. I got invited to a forum, but I couldn't make it. But hopefully I'll make some in the future when the primaries are over. But it's going great, man. I'm not too worried about anything. So
That's awesome.
can't complain.
That's awesome. Oh yeah, this next question. I've asked everybody this so far, so I might as well ask you. Do you have plans on making a YouTube channel?
I already have a YouTube channel, but I don't really use it much. I don't know. I might do a video or two. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not opposed to it. It's just another social media marketing tool. And yeah, I might make a video. Who knows?
That's awesome. Oh yeah, you mentioned forums. I've actually been thinking about the rise of the third parties event ever since like last year. I know they did one in like 2024 as well. What I'm hoping during the year is somebody makes a rise of the third parties event once again for like 2026, and we can have like all the third parties come together and say that we need third parties more than ever. We are upset at how the State Board of Elections has been handling third parties over the past few years, and even now with the upcoming changes in the petitioning process for third parties, it's freaking insane. So I really hope that somebody makes an event like that soon.
Yeah, I moderated that event. Were you at the one downtown Raleigh?
Oh, I wasn't there. I think I watched the stream. Was it for like 2024 or 2025?
Definitely 2024. or maybe 23. I can't remember, but it was downtown Raleigh. I was the moderator. We had 7 parties present there. It was when it might have been 2022. I remember the rise of third parties. We had Constitution Party, We the People, Forward Party, Libertarian Party. We had Green Party, and then there was one more, and I can't remember. But it was amazing. It was really, really good. Yeah, I actually moderated that. That was a fun time. Um, yeah, I'm friends with like the Forward Party guys. Those, I really hope that they can get ballot access because they've got a great platform. They push for ranked choice voting, which I'm a big proponent of, which would help third parties tremendously and give people an actual real voice, and give third parties a chance to compete with the pendulum swinging back and forth. So put it together, man. Do one. That'd be great.
Awesome. And since you mentioned the Forward Party, and since you seem to like their platform, would you ever consider like getting a Forward Party endorsement?
They asked me to a couple years ago, and I declined it. Um, Basically because Andrew Yang came out, and instead of he's definitely pushing for third parties. He's pushing for ranked choice voting. He wants to give third parties a choice, and then he came out and endorsed Kamala Harris, and I was like, that was the dumbest move ever. We had a third party candidate running, and you endorsed one of the uniparty candidates. I can't put my name behind that. So I decided, nah, I actually declined it. I love the guys here in North Carolina, but Andrew Yang needs to think twice about endorsing the freaking uniparty before sitting here saying he's all about third parties. It's like, dude, you can't do that, man, because that's a mixed message. You just went backwards and now you support a uniparty candidate. And so I was like, thanks, but no thanks. And it wasn't personal because the guys here are cool, but Andrew Yang made a dumbass move. That was so stupid. And whatever. Would have been the same thing if he endorsed Trump. It's like you can't do that and actually say you're all about third parties. You can't. You just can't. Not in people, not with people taking you seriously. And I take my principles seriously. And to do something that stupid made me want to just be like, nah, I'm gonna bounce. I don't want to be associated with Kamala Harris or Trump. So that's
Yeah,
why I said no.
yeah.
And I love the Forward Party.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I love the Forward Party, but I thought that was a really stupid move. And I told him about it too. So it's all good. We're good. We're cool.
Yeah, I was gonna say I actually do agree with you. With some of the third parties, such as the Forward Party, the Veterans Party, and the Reform Party, they do tend to endorse Democrats and Republicans, and I easily get turned off by that because of the fact that they're part of the two-party system. Like I don't want to be associated with the two-party system like at all. It's part of the reason why I made this
Me
podcast.
either. Yeah, the Veterans Party, they get a little Trumpy, and it's like, dude, you've got to stop focusing on the uniparty, or they're always gonna be getting your votes, and they're always gonna be getting your support. Um, it's not voting, you got to quit voting for the lesser of two evils just because you're scared of the other evil side. If you really support third parties, then and there's not a third party candidate, don't vote. It's your right not to vote. You can't keep feeding the machine because they are hungry and they do not want to give up their power. So 99% of the time, I won't vote if there's not a third-party candidate on the ballot. The nonpartisan races are a little bit different. I like those because I can, it's not necessarily about the party, it's about the person. And that's the way it should be. But with the party stuff, people will just vote party lines most of the time, and it's sad.
I agree. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything I missed?
Just keep living your best life, North Carolina, and realize that there are a few people that do have your back and that do understand that we're being stolen from, lied to, gouged, and conned for way too long. And it's time for the people to rise up and to take back the power that's always belonged to them this entire time, and come up with a plan to move forward together as people of North Carolina that know what's best for them and know what's best for their family more than anyone else. I trust the people of North Carolina to make the right decision, and I know they will. So
That's awesome. With that being said, everyone, that's going to conclude for this episode of the Political Freedom Fighters podcast. If you are new to the channel, hit the like button down below and feel free to type a comment for any suggestions you may have. And definitely hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you can be notified for any new updates that will be on this podcast. And I will be linking all of Travis's social medias in the description below in case you want to check it out for yourself. And with that being said, I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll see you all later.